I have to let my lymphatic system rest a little bit, the best that I can. I have to let it heal a little bit. So I'm going to take a break from the infinity hoop, from the jumping jacks. I'm going to take a little break from exercise.
Oh my God, okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
Ah, good. You're here. I know there's a brand new gaggle of enthusiastic and supportive babies here for their first cycle. Very exciting. A very special time in GorlWorld when an earnest viewer experiences their first live action debut of the cycle beginning. The rest of us have been watching for far too long. But hey, just know for the newbies, I'm proud of you. This is a very special moment. You're a Gorl now. Alright, first, right off the bat, I want her to lose weight. I want her to be healthier. I don't want her to be a quarter ton. My critiques are all evidence-based on repetitive actions and my experiences watching them flounder. That is where this is coming from. I am not trying to be just a jerk. So, as of now, she has all these TikToks showcasing an overall normal caloric deficit with some mild exercise. Now, she has lost some weight, but she always loses, quote-unquote, some weight before rebounding. We all get annoyed at her, try to warn her about setting reasonable expectations when we see it on the horizon. When we call her out on it, she stops bringing it up in videos, and then she gets pissed at us for being haters when the thing she's been emphatically saying she's managing is just shelved indefinitely. This is so old, this is classic Q3 summer remotivation, shortly after realizing that it is 60% done with the year, and she's almost exactly where she was back in January.
I was 519.6, so that means in total I am down 29.4 pounds in a month.
The current pageantry is roughage we've been seeing for the last 3 years, and talking about stamina again.
Me to see the improvement in my stamina, but I'm also doing this to see my increased improvement of stamina every single day. Keep track of my increased stamina by using data, and I'm using it as data to see my increased stamina. Improving stamina, baby! I'm sweating, heart's pumping.
She doesn't need to work on her stamina. She needs to build endurance is how long your body, mind, and muscles maintain prolonged activity without fatigue. Examples being activities like cycling, distance running, swimming, and watching Amberlynn's live streams. Stamina is maintaining the maximum intensity level of an energy output for a period of time, like sprints, high-intensity interval training, and jump rope all need high levels of stamina to complete long-term. You build up your stamina, you build up endurance. Cardiovascular health for endurance activities relies on your heart and lungs' aerobic energy output, where oxygen is your main energy source for your muscles for moderate intensity in long-term conditioning. The more you endure, the stronger your heart and lungs become to pump blood and oxygen through your body. Endurance compounds on itself and needs intentional and consistent training. Stamina uses aerobic and anaerobic energy systems, anaerobic being the immediate use of the stored energy in the muscles that the body needs ASAP. If you've ever felt the burn, it's because your muscles aren't getting enough oxygen to maintain the high tempo activity. Lactic acid builds up and muscle fatigue is incoming. You need stamina to build up your muscles for endurance activities so your maximum output has a longer duration. Muscle strength can only be built by burning it down. Where this gets difficult for Amber in particular is that endurance demands time. It needs time to be built. You cannot fast-track building endurance by sporadic manic bursts of stamina workouts. We've seen this before, since she'll put on what I'll call an earnest effort with slow and steady results. Then something will set off the last couple neurons in her head and she'll stop the diet and exercise routine will just come to a full stop. The weight loss is slow, but the rebound is typically very fast. Then she'll get into some funky plateau for a couple months, but nothing stable. So starting again over and over and over and over and over again doesn't actually compound as endurance. It's just an annual little stamina charade. Amberlynn also never eats whole foods long enough to actively change her gut biome either, and she stops physical activity before she has any load-bearing blocks established.
I like them short and sweet because I'm lazy.
Even when you have the excitable motivation to create a new routine, it's never been dependable because Amberlynn lacks discipline, a far more reliable thing for maintaining a long-term healthy lifestyle change than motivation. That's why she'll bait us with walking a mile or jumping or whatever as a way to feign a new routine. But rather than bite, we all rightfully go, wait, what do you mean you haven't walked your dog at least a mile a day? What the f-? And the thing is, she will succeed, she'll just never do it again. That's great, you can walk a mile. You can walk a mile every day. Actually, you know what? You have a dog, you should walk a mile every day. But it's not enough anymore. You have to go farther, and you have to go faster. She just keeps building the same stamina levels and expecting different results. Amber, that's truly the definition of madness, what the cycle depends on entirely. While we're going down memory lane, let's go farther back. Let's go back 100 years, actually. If you're unfamiliar with Earl Liederman, he was an old-timey athlete that would perform feats of strength and endurance for funsies and attention. He also worked for the Board of Education as a physical education specialist, but the limelight was his real calling. He took up being a professional athlete under the Strongman title and performed feats of strength for entertainment at vaudeville shows. Think of them as the original sports marketer, what we know today as like gym and fitness influencers. They would develop their own workout routines and diet plans, and they would sell this to people who were miring their gains. And I was invited to like so many parties in high school, so I think books written by circus strongmen are very interesting. I like history and I like athletic endeavors, so I read one of Liederman's books, aptly titled Endurance. It was wild reading how many things we talk about today in physical fitness and how much it holds up 100 years later. Endurance work cannot be performed rapidly. Amberlynn struggles with this the most. She's always wanted the quick fix, but she drops the diet and activity the second it's convenient. Discipline is more reliable than motivation. I'm not motivated to brush my teeth, it's just a part of the day. That's what physical activity and meal prepping needs to become for Amberlynn. You can't have your health depend on random 30-day bursts of fitness throughout the year. As I was saying in the beginning, I really do want Amberlynn to be a healthier person, to be more mobile, more independent, and have like an actual life, honestly. But it's difficult to maintain any optimism when I've already seen this episode. Your earnest support, you newbies, for their earnest effort will go underappreciated after they bail on this effort. And then Amberlynn gets angry at you and the rest of us for mentioning the drop-off in effort. If she kept anything up consistently, she'd see results and maintain the audience's favor. It's not fat phobia for us to be angry about this. It's her making bad choices while lumbering around dangerously overweight, thinking this is an acceptable way to live. The progress and pacing you set up for yourself sets the stage for Liederman's main mantra for prioritizing fitness. Every man should be able to save his own life. This book was published in 1926, and Earl Liederman was born in Brooklyn in the 1880s. It was dangerous as hell. Fires blazing just all the time, industrial accidents on the daily, boats just sank, trains crashing, German submarines are just shooting off everywhere. It was a very dangerous time to just be a normal person. The first sentence in chapter 1 of Liederman's book is, every man should be able to save his own life. He starts the book off with many stories of how people, because they have conditioned their body to a healthy degree, could survive very dangerous situations, where if they weren't so fit, they might not have survived. He tells of a man who avoided being bitten by a rattlesnake because he was able to jump far enough away from a stationary position, or the tale of a young man that rushed towards an Atlantic train wreck to help the passengers in the overturned coach cars. He heard the uncanny screams of the passengers. Time after time, he climbed over a capsized car, entered the broken windows, and helped the injured out to safety. Still, the moans kept up. His legs and arms were shaking from the wreck. He was ready to drop. Yet he carried on. How many lives would be lost if it wasn't for his ability to continue? Granted, this is hearsay from 100 years ago. I'm gullible, maybe Earl was too, so I'll bite. I tend to believe people try to assist people in an emergency setting. Also, just the statistic likelihood of someone in Atlantic City watching a train crash, pretty high. If being strong for yourself isn't a constant motivation, maybe being strong to help others is just as good of a reason. Earl had very strong sentiments towards the underweight and people who didn't work out, but the obese really set this guy off. Outside of being able to float on the water, the fat man is practically helpless when it comes to saving his own life. He cannot run, he cannot jump, he cannot climb. From the POV of someone in a time where you could be violently thrust into a situation like a train crash, this criticism comes at a time when you either can help or you are a burden on people because you can't help yourself. Now, with a grain of salt, athletic people do come in all shapes and sizes. But it's not fat phobic for us to clock that the average 500-pound woman isn't physically capable of much. The thing about emergency situations is that they happen to you. It's not something you can typically plan for. So what is far more likely to occur is you will need to get up after being knocked over, and you might need to get yourself up repeatedly. You may need to know how to swim if you've been knocked into the water unexpectedly, and you will likely need to run away from something to avoid injury or escape danger. If you have an able body, you need to be able to use that able body. People who are older, maybe have physical disabilities, maybe mobility issues, emergency services are still going to help you. They're not just going to get rid of you because you have a wheelchair or you're obese. But if you have the ability to help yourself and plan ahead, you should. To Amberlynn's point ages ago with her ankle, patient care and emergency devices will be much more limited if you're morbidly obese. They had a shortage at the hospital with way more supplies than a pop-up medical tent. There is no superhuman that can save us all the time. But that's okay, because a lot of instances of people being rescued, it's by other regular people. Regular people who have lived a life of enough physical activity and, a nice boost of adrenaline, depending on the situation, to help other people. If you fall down and get back up, can you also drag someone who can't? If you're only able to run for help, can you run the distance and get there fast enough? These are situations that get thrust upon people, and like Earl's closing request to the reader, it's the main object of these pages on endurance is to awaken you fully to a realization of the value of the possession of coordination, strength, and endurance, sufficient to save your own life, or that of another, possibly someone more dear to you than your own life. However, I hope this is never put to the test. Sure, adrenaline does a lot of heavy lifting in these incredible situations, but the average person can get a lot done with the average level of fitness. I don't think I could be an endurance swimmer like Liederman or like a circus strongman. I'm pretty average, just consistent. I do know, though, my cardiovascular endurance tank is bottomless if I'm expected to go outside in the cold for long periods of time to find my missing pet that I love. But hey, that's just me. Consistent inconsistency is an actual constant in life, adapting and enduring to these constant changes. One bad week won't upend all your progress, Amber. The same way one good month won't fix 35 years of morbid obesity. Amber is going to forget this process, but you, the suffering audience member, will not. These constant full body shots showing her legs and movement, it kind of gives me the ick. It feels like these are like a specific type of fan service with the look of motivation and weight loss. She knows her body gets attention. It's the only thing about her that's violently unusual and noticeably so. So rather than seeing this as her being confident, ignoring the haters, and doing her own thing on TikTok, I'm seeing someone that is currently dating a feeder, showing themselves eating, and moving their morbidly obese body for the fetishists online, just with a different makeup. Remember everybody, Amberlynn has been morbidly obese her entire life without an active feeder and hasn't been able to lose weight long term either by herself or with a partner. It's giving,
"Good job, Kylie, you're doing amazing, sweetie. Wow, look at her go."
TikTok is giving her the joy of a new audience, new dopamine hit from the supportive audience, losing weight at the moment, while simultaneously being the object of immense attraction to hyper-specific gooners. This all feels like we're forced to watch this thinly veiled feeder humiliation kink under the guise of locking in for weight loss. It makes me feel icky. Look, the cycle sucks because people want Amberlynn to lose weight and become more mobile. Her life is like a hermit crab, and every video showcases how little experience she has living because of her weight. So when she gets the urge to try, we're all on board cheering since most of us have a life in more of a form than Amber. It's pretty fun. It'd be nice if she joined. Liederman wrote how the point of working out means you can live longer, which means you can enjoy life longer. To experience new people, visit new places, and challenge yourself to see what you can accomplish mentally and physically. There is very little enjoyment looking on at life. There is much more thrills and excitement in being one of the players. New viewers will keep cheering, and hopefully I'm wrong and she loses weight and keeps it off.
And this is just for me to keep track of my increased stamina by using data.
But like Amberlynn, I also like data, and that data is not giving me a lot of confidence. I've seen this episode before and I want the ending to be different. Like every batch of new viewers, you'll witness the progress and be confused when she's angry at you for not enjoying the circus anymore.
Amberlynn, you look young and you act young, but your illnesses cause you to look old, baby girl. Get your shit together, which I am, okay?
Let me know what you think. And thank you for enduring another one of my videos. What endurance efforts do you all like to do, and what do you think Amber should be doing? I think just anything would probably be good for her. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you later.